Before we go anywhere, let's take a breath together. Inhaling through your nose and slowly exhaling. Good. So I want to ask you something. How many times this week have you gone angry at something that, if you're honest, possibly or probably didn't deserve that much energy? Someone maybe cut you off in traffic and your blood pressure spiked. Someone did something stupid at work and you couldn't let it go for hours. Someone said the wrong thing and you snapped. Harder than maybe you meant to. And then maybe you felt guilty about it or confused by it. Or you thought, what is wrong with me? Why do I keep reacting like this? Nothing is wrong with you, but something is trying to get your attention. And that's what this video is about. So not all anger is the same, and understanding the difference is actually the key to understanding yourself. There are 3 types of anger I see show up in my own life and in people I work with. The first is reactive anger. This is the road rage, the snapping, the disproportionate reaction to something small. Someone cuts you off and suddenly you're furious. Someone makes a comment and it lands way harder than it should have. Someone does something minor and you find yourself stewing about it for the rest of the day. Here's what's actually happening in those moments. The situation didn't create the anger. The situation gave the anger somewhere to go. You were already carrying something before that driver cut you off, before that comment landed, before that small thing happened. The anger was already there. It was already sitting in your nervous system waiting for something to trigger it. And that trigger, as minor as it was, gave it permission to come out. The second type is relational anger. This is the chronic frustration with a specific person, a partner, a parent, a coworker, a friend, that slow, steady burn that builds over time. The feeling of, I keep having the same conversation, the same argument, the same experience, nothing changes. This kind of anger is almost always about pattern. A boundary that keeps getting crossed without being addressed. A need that keeps going unmet. Something you've been tolerating for so long that the tolerance has turned into resentment. And the third type is deep anger. This is the one most people don't even recognize as anger. It's the slow burn underneath everything, the kind that doesn't have a clear target, the kind that just feels like heaviness, a slow level irritation, a sense of being done. This is the anger that comes from years of suppression, years of staying quiet when you should have spoken, years of shrinking to keep the peace, years of needs that were never acknowledged, years of grief that were never given space. And here's the thing about all 3. They're connected. The reactive anger, the road rage, the snapping, that's the deep anger looking for an exit. When the deeper stuff has nowhere to go, it comes out sideways. Through small triggers, through disproportionate reactions, through moments where you surprise even yourself with how intense the feeling is. I want you to really hear this. The anger you get about small things, the bigger the thing underneath that hasn't been addressed. Again, the anger you get about the small things, the bigger the thing underneath that hasn't been addressed. The road rage isn't about the driver. The snapping isn't about what was said. The disproportionate reaction isn't about the situation. It's about what you already are carrying. Your nervous system has a capacity. Think of it like a container. Every unprocessed emotion, every suppressed feeling, every boundary that got crossed without being addressed, it goes into that container. And when that container gets full, it doesn't need a bigger trigger to overflow. It just needs a small one. Someone cut you off, someone says the wrong thing, someone does something minor, and suddenly the container tips. And what comes out feels way bigger than the moment deserves. Because it is bigger than the moment. It's everything that was already in the container. Now here's where we go deeper, because anger, all three types, is almost never just anger. Anger is the protector. It sits on top of something softer, something more vulnerable, something your nervous system learned a long time ago wasn't safe to feel directly. Underneath the anger is usually one of these: grief, the loss of something you never got, the version of yourself you had to suppress to survive, the relationship that should have been different, the childhood that should have felt safer, powerlessness, the feeling that no matter what you do, nothing changes, that your voice doesn't matter, that you keep trying to keep ending up in the same place, that you've been seen as less than, less capable, less worthy, or less important. Fear that you're too much, fear that you're not enough, fear that if you have to stop being angry, you'll collapse into something you can't handle. Fear that being vulnerable means being hurt again. Unmet needs, needs that were never acknowledged, needs you are taught not to have, needs you've been carrying alone for so long that now they come out sideways, as frustration, as snapping, as this low-level rage you can't quite name. Anger is easier to feel than any of those things. Anger feels like power. The other stuff feels like vulnerability. And your nervous system learned that a long time ago. Power is safer than vulnerability, so it reaches for the anger first, every time. So this is important. Anger doesn't just live in your mind, it lives in your body. In your jaw, the chronic clenching you don't even notice anymore. In your shoulders, the tension that you carry like a second skin. In your chest, the tightness that's always there. In your gut, the knot that shows up before you even get angry. Your body has been holding this, not because something is wrong with you, but because you were never given those tools to move through it. You were taught to suppress it, to manage it, to perform calmly when internally you're burning. And the body keeps the score. Unprocessed anger becomes tension, becomes inflammation, becomes the chronic tightness, the chronic fatigue, the chronic anxiety that no amount of managing seems to fix. Because you can't manage your way out of something that's stored in your body. You have to move through it. So what do you actually do with this? First, stop apologizing for being angry. Your anger is valid. It's telling you something real. It's pointing at something that needs attention. Stop treating it like a character flaw and start treating it like information. Second, get curious instead of reactive. The next time you feel that disproportionate reaction, the road rage, the snap, the stewing, instead of judging yourself, ask, what was already in my container before this happened? What is the anger actually protecting? What's beneath this? What have I been tolerating that I haven't addressed? Third, stop trying to think your way through it. Because anger lives in the body, it has to move through the body. Breath work, movement, sound, shaking, whatever helps your nervous system actually process and release what it's been holding. Not suppressing it back down, not exploding into someone else, but letting it move through you and complete its cycle. Because anger that moves through you becomes clarity. Anger that moves through you becomes a boundary. Anger that moves through you becomes power. Real power, not reactive power. But anger that gets stuck, that becomes chronic illness, chronic anxiety, chronic disconnection from yourself and everyone else around you. Your body was not designed to hold it forever. It was designed to feel it, move it, and return to center. So the next time someone cuts you off in traffic, or someone does something stupid and you feel that heat rising, or you snap at someone and wonder why it came out so hard, don't judge yourself, get curious. Because that reaction isn't about the driver. It isn't about what was said. It isn't about the small thing that triggered it. It's about what you were already carrying. And the most powerful thing you can do is stop managing your anger and start listening to it. Ask it what it's protecting. Ask it what's underneath. Ask it what your body has been trying to tell you. Your anger isn't the problem. Your anger is one of the most honest parts of you. It's time to stop apologizing for it and to start listening to it instead. I'll see you in the next episode.